Welcome to yet another Wednesday Night Undressed. I'm Jeremy Taylor, the Brit on the radio, and let me introduce an amusing application of elusive participants in our little pungent, perspicacious... I need another word. Quickly.
I knew he'd
Go.
run out of
Perspicacious.
that.
Dr. Orlando.
Punctual.
Punctual.
Pervasive.
Persuasive. Prolific.
Petty.
Perverted.
Sometimes perverted yet petty.
Pedagogy.
Team. Aha. So, that marvel of female bohemian sophistication, Jane Carter.
JC.
Transylvanian Dark Lord of Literature and many pheromones, let me tell you. Ivo Ivanov.
Konnichiwa, Taylor-san.
Kawarimas, Ivo.
Wakarimastika. Haha, tridozo.
The most interesting man in the world, smarter brother, the magic Dr. Orlando.
Hello.
Let's put us right up.
And, of course, the lovely, very sexy Kathleen Taylor.
Oh, my.
Oh, my. And without further ado, let's start the first question. This whole thing is, if you could see the video on this, you would see one of our engineers is trying to get underneath the table for some reason. Yes, he says, yes. We want to talk about Valentine's Day. It's interesting. Valentine's Day has now become infamous for the school shooting down in Florida. After the St. Valentine's mob shooting in Chicago back in the 1920s, and you've all seen the black and white photographs, they banned Tommy guns. Interesting. How would you, if you were president for a day, address the problem of gun violence in America? And please answer in a sensible way, i.e. simply banning guns is not a practical solution. What would you do, Dr. Orlando?
I have a long-winded answer. I'm going to apologize first before I start.
Well, could you go outside and then come back in, and I'll talk to somebody else while you...
You know,
pass?
you quite genuinely might want to start with somebody other than me, because I have a feeling I'm going to, bore everybody to tears.
Okay, Kathleen.
Oh, right. Well, I wouldn't be bored, but mine is fairly simple. I would make a serious proposal and a serious push as president to get guns of all sorts to be treated as automobiles are. To be registered and taxed every year.
License.
To be licensed. To have to get an operator's license that has to be renewed and taken away when your eyesight fails, for heaven's sake. That sort of thing. They should cost you to own.
Yeah.
And that might help a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, Ivo. You come from a world where you, in your very late teens, I suppose, early 20s, you were taught how to use automatic weapons.
Well, we have this, actually in ninth grade, we have this thing called, used to have it, we don't have it anymore, but we had this thing called military class and military camp. And we went for a couple of weeks to this military camp, and as part of it, we actually used AK-47 for the first time in a target shooting exercise. And then obviously in the Army, I had an AK-47 for 2 years. I still remember the serial number 1852, which is bizarre that I memorized it. It was partly because if you lost your AK-47, the consequences were severe. So everybody had etched in their memory the serial number on their gun because it's carved into the gun, and that's how you can find it. And everybody was petrified of the idea that somebody might take their gun and
sell it.
So I still remember it, and it's a devastating weapon. But afterwards, you don't have access to weapons. If I was president for a day, well, you say it's not reasonable banning guns. But you're very familiar with Dunblane.
Sure.
After
It's in
Dunblane,
Scotland. We should just explain. This was the last big shooting in England, in Scotland, where the guy went in and shot a lot of kids in a school, including the classroom of a very famous English tennis player.
Yeah, Andy Murray and his brother were in the school at the time. Andy Murray was, I think, he was only 8 years old. His brother was 10, and they were walking towards their favorite place was the gym. And they were walking towards the gym, the crazed guy that went and killed all these 6-year-olds went and killed everybody in the gym. So they were walking towards the gym. They were very lucky. A few minutes late, if they were a few minutes earlier there, they would be dead. And instead, now Andy Murray is the greatest British tennis player of all time. So after Dunblane, anyway, a lot of kids were killed. And in 97, 1 year later, as you know, Britain banned all firearms. There's no firearms. Even the policemen don't have firearms. I think there's about 17 gun-related deaths a year in Great Britain. There's about 30,000 a year here. 10 times more than died in 9/11 every year. So there's 10 9/11s every year here. We've had 60 since the mass shootings since the beginning of the year. Great Britain is very close to last place in terms of gun-related deaths in the world. When Port Arthur happened in Australia, you remember that was 96 as well. Australia was one of the most gun-loving countries in the world. The outback, the hunting, private property, they're very much close. They were very much close to us. But the Prime Minister at the time immediately proposed and implemented a complete ban on automatic and semi-automatic weapons and heavy regulation on all other weapons. And everybody agreed, and it was bipartisan. But what was interesting was that the Conservatives proposed it. The Republican Party, the Conservative Party, was the party that spearheaded this movement, and the Liberals supported it. So that was the big difference. I feel like if that happened here, it will have changes. But what is amazing is nobody in Australia complained, and there was a big buyback program. So they said, we'll buy back your weapons. And millions went and sold their weapons back to the government. And now they have guns and firearms in Australia, but mostly hunters and people that live in the outback that actually need it. And people in the urban areas, they don't care for it. It's interesting. So I would maybe do something like try to do something like they did in Australia.
Well, we have a new guest join the panel, just come in.
Yes.
Mr. Nate. Good morning, Mr. Nate. How awfully nice to see you. Nice to get your mouth in the microphone. Very important. Get your lips around it. Yes, just like that.
Likes that phrase.
Yes.
I don't know if you've caught that.
That doesn't surprise me. I wondered where those texts were coming from.
Yes.
So.
This is very naughty. Nate, you're president for a day for some reason. You're a junior senator and everybody's busy and whatever. You've got a sudden opportunity to do something about guns, something that actually makes a difference. What would you do?
So, having grown up in Kansas, I, not surprisingly, have fired a gun before, and I've even owned a gun. I don't at the moment. But I think the biggest difference that I was able to self-realize is shooting an assault rifle is fun. It's fun shooting at a target and shooting it multiple times and putting holes in paper, but pretending that it's anything other than a fun activity to do from time to time is really just self-delusional. Yeah. So, considering the fact that you can go to Las Vegas right now and pay money to shoot fully automatic weapons for fun, and it's more of a novelty. I view our assault rifles as no more than a novelty at this point. They're not particularly great unless your house is being invaded by another country. A simple burglar isn't necessarily going to warrant a 50-round magazine with quick red dot sight when the majority of people who own them have a significantly lower percentage of accuracy than would be necessary. So for me, any gun that needs to be semi-automatic, it's either for a bad shot or just because you enjoy blowing holes in things. And pretending that it's anything other than that is a disgrace.
Jane?
I was going to say I'm going to pass on this because it's just bombarded every moment of our last week and having debate after debate about it. But I will tell you what I wouldn't do if I was president. Come up with asinine solutions, like arming teachers in a classroom.
Yeah. With you there.
I think this is probably the most absurd solution. That's why I keep putting inflection on it. I'm like, this is the craziest crap I've
What
ever
about
heard in
if
my
we give
life.
lunch ladies hand grenades? Wouldn't that be good?
Jesus.
Or the
hand grenades
janitor-
are
janitor could have
banned,
a-
apparently.
What?
Hand grenades, you can't.
Oh my
no,
God!
can't.
Can we mine the area around the school?
Dr.
We have
Orlando.
a couple of tanks.
Dr. Orlando.
Yeah, Mo.
Okay, so if I'm president for a day, I don't think I'm going to be able to fix it because I think it's a multi-faceted problem, and I think that it is going to take comprehensive reform. And I think that we have a problem in the way that we approach the argument. Because we live in the country that we live in and the times that we live in, the argument has become political. And because it's become political, you come down on one of two sides. You're either on the pro-gun side, in which you're going to make an argument that completely discounts the other side. It doesn't matter how many people are dying, my right to own guns is paramount. And on the other side, if you are anti-gun, you're going to make an argument that completely discounts the other side. And you're going to say, I don't care about your gun rights, people are dying. Without putting judgment on either side, I will just say as an aside that I am firmly on the anti-gun side. But without putting a judgment on either side, if you walk into an argument and immediately tell the person that you're talking to that their side has no validity, you can't have a discussion. So I think if I was president, I would want to basically gather a group of people around me that I can say, this is my goal. I want to stop gun violence. I don't know how to do that. Here are the parameters that I think we need to address. I think that we need to address the fact that gun violence is 100 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 times more prevalent in this society than in the societies around us, whether or not they have guns. I think we have to recognize that violence is going to happen whether or not there are guns here. So there are people that are going to have arguments for why they want guns or why they need guns. We have to acknowledge that. But my goal is to, A, get at the base of the problems of why our society is so violent, and reduce the number of guns. And I don't think you can do one without the other. In fact, I think that if we reduce the number of guns that are available to the people in our society without addressing the problems that make people want to take a gun and go kill strangers, what we're going to see is an increase in all the other kinds of violence that we are addressing with the other people. Mr. Taylor.
I have two thoughts about this, and working in media, as Evo and I both do.
I'm sorry, but I just want to get this thought completely out of my head. Initially, we're going to see an increase in violence because we have a lot of people that are frustrated, and until we start addressing some of those issues, we're going to see this uptick in other kinds of violence other than gun violence if guns were to simply disappear tomorrow. But our goal should be to take away the factors that make people feel like they're unimportant.
I don't think you have any basis for saying other kinds of violence would uptick. Would go up.
Okay, sorry, I want to let Jeremy get to his point, but yes,
Okay.
we can come back to that.
All right.
I've got a couple of thoughts about this. One is that America does violence. As a Brit coming here, America loves violence. It just loves it.
Yes.
But it's not real violence. It doesn't like real violence. So whilst it has the largest sex video operation in the world, it doesn't like sex. You know how upset America gets when nipples are seen. You never see nipples on the TV. So here's my thought.
Free
The same,
nipple.
same
Gin.
with
Jack and
same-
Coke. Yeah.
the same goes, I think, with guns. Think of Arnie running across a road shouting to the helicopters, and as he's turning around, he's to the chopper.
Jeremy
Yeah,
always
to the
gets that
chopper.
right.
I know.
Yeah,
I
never,
know.
ever
Yeah,
gets
Evo
I'm
was
sorry.
just
Okay, couldn't
immediately
help himself
irritated.
to the choppers, and he turns around and he sprays a whole load of baddies, and they all fall over, going "Argara." I think that's the word you see in the
Arg.
magazine. Arg.
I agree.
and they fall over. And the reality is that that's not what it looks like.
It's very stylized.
Yeah, when you fire one of these things at a human body
jeez.
20 feet away, the human body explodes.
In bits and
Literally
pieces.
explodes. One of the reasons that they had problems with Sandy Hook was that they couldn't recognize the children.
Yeah.
And the parents wanted to go in and see their kids.
No.
And
No.
and the authorities were saying, you can't. And the parents were saying, yes, we can. It's my daughter.
No.
And the authorities were going, no, you can't. So the point is, if I was president for a day, I would do two things. One is I would give permission to the FCC to allow the main media outlets to show colour film of the results of the shooting, which they have. The police have the film of the children's bodies. And I think if the vast majority of America saw video of the remains of 15 children with their heads blown apart, arms off, guts all over the place, yes, there would probably be 100,000 complaints and people would be throwing up all over their dinner and everything else. But they would get the message, because Americans, as a rule, with the exception of those who've seen active service, have never seen a dead body that's been hit. And I heard today what I thought was a really good idea. When we buy a car, privately or from a corporate, we have to have a dealing with a title, right? And a senator has come up with an idea I think is a good one, and that is, if you want to buy a weapon, you have to have a certificate that says you're entitled to buy a weapon, right? Easy to get. You have to pass a background check, then you're given a certificate. You go wherever you like, privately or commercially, but you have to produce this certificate, and the person selling it has to sign off, and you deal with the purchase of the weapon the same way you do a car. We are not going to do anything about the bad guys who've already got their hands on weapons, but what we could do is to start to control just a little bit the amount of weapons. And the unfortunate fact of the matter is that the only thing that can deal with a bad guy with a weapon is a good guy with a weapon. It's a horrible thing the NRA say, but it's true.
No, it's not true.
Yes, it
I
is
agree
true.
with Kath. I know
It
I
is
100%
not
agree
true.
with you.
And it should never be repeated.
Well, it is true.
No.
A
Yes, it is
society
definitely
can
true.
Make the
Soc-
decision.
yeah. A society deals with a bad guy of homegrown origin, in not allowing them to
Not
get
on the
weapons,
day.
of taking care of them. It doesn't.
Maybe we should just eat a lot of cheese and chocolate. I think that's the key, the solution. Like obscene amounts of cheese and chocolate, and we will not be killing people. Because I was in Switzerland this summer, and they have the most liberal gun laws, and there's no mass shootings.
Evo, I'm
and
on
what
my-
do? They eat cheese and chocolate like crazy.
I'm in
So
my
do we.
23rd trimester of attempting that, and I have not killed a single person on that diet. So, just throwing that in for you.
Hey, Switzerland has they can buy guns just as easy as we do, and almost every household has a gun. They don't have automatic and semi-automatic, but they do have firearms. But you know,
Excuse moi,
Yeah.
my friend. How old is your eldest son?
17.
Right. In a year's time, you would have the equivalent of an M15 in a locked cupboard in your house.
Seriously.
Because absolutely seriously, because the Swiss have to do compulsory
Service.
service,
for window.
but it's a home guard rather than, and you are required to have a weapon in the house, or at least you used to be.
But see, their military service is kind of serves as a universal checking system, background check.
Yeah.
They check you time and again, and also if you have any kind of mental, if
You're saying I can't get a gun. That's where you're going with this.
yes, I am sorry to say, Louis.
twitching.
Not to mention
Stop
they're
twitching.
probably actually trained,
They're
thoroughly trained
and
to
you
use
can-
the weapon.
Yeah, you cannot have.
teachers.
They still have the highest death rate by firearms in Europe, but it's mostly suicides. For some reason, they don't have mass shootings.
And when in Switzerland, in a bar like we're in at the moment recording our podcast, someone comes in with an AK and opens up,
No.
they throw Toblerones at them.
Emmental
hold
cheese.
on. We're recording this?
Yeah,
Shit.
true. Cheese and Toblerones.
Just one last word.
It's amazing what you can do with a Toblerone. I have to say.
Just one last word. People need some education. They need to actually see facts and not just propaganda on this, because everybody thinks, apparently, who's an NRA member anyway, that the more guns you've got, the safer you are.
No.
Get some more guns, you're safer.
No, Bubba wants to carpet bomb opossums in Kentucky. That's what it is.
Yeah, I know.
They don't care about
but
anything
the
else.
United States has more guns than anybody else in the world, by far.
Right.
And it is the least safe place to be.
I'm not sure I go with least safe, but it's
So-
definitely the
Well,
least safe
it's a reality
As far as
that-
gun
that-
violence.
So, for
Yeah.
example, you mentioned other types of violence.
Yeah.
So, you are per capita just as likely to be mugged in London as you are in
Right.
New York.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
And
whoa,
100
whoa.
times more likely to die during that mugging. And yes, I completely fabricated that in New York.
Yeah, no, you're
but
right.
it is a drastic increase in the
Yeah.
morbidity
Right.
of being mugged.
And
So-
bar fights end in punches and not bullets.
Right.
And for me, what Nate just said is the important point. It's like when we're having this discussion, my impression, at least, is that we kind of lump in all gun violence when we have the discussion. And the way that I see it is we have at least two different types of gun violence, if not three. We've got violence where guns are a factor. And I think of that as sort of the individual violence. If I rob Nate with a gun, that's one type of gun violence. And then there are these crimes against classes of people, or just like as crimes against like the notion of people is really kind of how I think of it. The guy that's in the hotel in Las Vegas that's shooting arbitrarily at people that he doesn't know, can't technically see, and is just taking life for the sake of taking life. That's what seems to drive the conversations about why we need to get rid of guns. And for me, that's really a symptom, an outward manifestation of this larger problem. Like, what the hell causes somebody to want to do that? And I don't think that legally, with the social structures that we have in place, we ever get to the point where we can realistically discuss that there is something different about the kind of violence that we have here in America versus Britain or Bulgaria or pick a place. So for me, it is without question at very least a two-pronged approach. We have to reduce the number of guns. We have to reduce the number of guns in a way that respects the people that say guns are a part of my life and always have been, and I need a damn good reason to give up my guns. And then we got to fix what I think of as just like the factors of oppression that go into making somebody so frustrated that they want to hurt arbitrary people. And so that's sort of phase one of getting rid of gun violence. Phase two is, like we just talked about, taking the guns away from the people that don't use them well, the individual people, the people that use guns for robbing, so on, those kinds of things. And for me, that goes into the universal health care, universal income, all those factors that nobody wants to realize play into this idea that we don't treat our people like they're human.
Yeah.
And so
I think robbery education could be really big. I mean, I'm going to be more terrified of a guy with a machete than a handgun. I mean, think about it though.
Yeah.
Robbery education.
Yeah. Let him
But
know.
you
if
see,
there's-
I think it was interesting watching Kathleen when I said the only thing really that's going to deal with a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That, I think, underlines the lack of understanding. Bear in mind that she's my wife and may hit me at any moment, of what guns do. And so it's interesting what Dr. Orlando says, because it's about being in the moment. Well, what are we talking about? Are we talking about dealing with violence? Or are we talking about a bad guy with a gun in a situation right now? There's...
I can name half a dozen ways to deal with a bad guy with a gun, other than shooting him with a gun.
Kung Fu doesn't count.
Shows.
No. Open the trap door beneath his feet. Okay? Shoot him with a stun gun.
Trap doors in schools.
Yeah.
Stun gun.
Gas him.
If you start to see Acme show up,
Drown him.
of your-
We could
Whatever.
have Conroy tell us
You
some
don't have
jokes.
to have guns.
Yeah, Conroy jokes. Okay, so I'm just interested. I think what's come out of that
Pepper. Chuck the
violence
pepper.
is the big thing, and I think that, and violence is an interesting word, and I think that's, people aren't used to blood and gore, and maybe they should see blood and gore. And
So basically, what you're saying is you were right and we were all wrong.
yeah.
Well, he's going to say he's got the last word, therefore.
Therefore, it's
Therefore.
all about.
And
yes,
by
okay.
the way, some cryptic little aside, my friend, on the first time you're on our thing about the Brits and London and stuff like that, just so you know, you fuck with us, pal, and you're thrown off the Tower Bridge. If you survive that, we put you in the tower, and then we eat you.
That sounds
Moving
considerably,
on.
considerably
what's
better
in
than guns.
English
So,
sausages, yes.
What do you think are in our sausages? The absurdity of religious calendar days being used as an excuse to blow dosh and take time off. Ash Wednesday, for example. A couple of weeks ago, a day for the first time since 1945 when the Christian calendar and steak and chocolate, the indulgent mainstays of Valentine's Day dinners, clashed.
Wednesday on
Yes, Hash
Valentine's
Wednesday.
Day. Whoa.
A solemn day when foreheads are marked with a symbol of mortality as a call to humility and repentance. And the beginning of Lent.
Is the
Quick round the thing. Give me the date that Lent begins, not you, Dr. Orlando. Nate.
absolutely no idea.
I
No
know.
clue?
No,
No
no.
clue? Do
Don't
you
know.
know?
I think I know. Like,
Because
isn't
I
it
don't know. I'm just wondering if you could tell us.
It's like, isn't it 40 days before Easter always?
No, the date of Lent. What date? What's the
Well,
date?
it differs, right? 40
Yeah, it
days
changes.
before Easter. This year it was February 14th.
What I'm getting at is none of us know. And that's the
Evo
point.
Except for
It's
Evo.
40 days before
No, but you
Easter.
don't know next Tuesday is the beginning of Lent, do you? Unless someone tells you.
Well, I gotta
the way it
calculate
works every year.
40 days before Easter.
For example, I might even ask, when's Easter? What's the date of Easter Sunday this year?
April 1st.
How do you know?
Because
Because it's on April Fool's Day and everybody's been talking about it.
Yeah, there is that.
Humbug. So, and what is Easter? What's Easter Sunday famous for?
Bunny rabbits.
Easter eggs, chocolate
Yeah.
Easter eggs.
I was like, is this a trick question?
Yeah,
No,
it's
chocolate,
trick
chocolate
question.
confused.
bunnies
Is this
that
some
lay
kind
Do
of
we
eggs.
want
British
the
thing that, like-
Christianity or the pagan
Yeah.
version?
Yeah.
What are
So
you
what
looking for?
what I'm trying to get at is, we do all this religious stuff, but it's actually Christmas.
Christmas is the biggest
Christmas is the
excuse
biggest
to blow
shopping
money of all,
weekend of the
isn't it?
year, other than Thanksgiving. So having debunked all the religious mumbo jumbo
Is that
stuff,
what we've done?
is
Yeah,
anybody
he's just destroyed religion.
is
Yeah.
anyone aware of how Valentine's Day got started without looking it up? Because I don't know. I'm just interested if anybody else knows. Does
on,
anybody
Evo.
else know?
Pull something
I found
out
when
here.
in doubt, if you add Saint to the beginning of one of those days, there's a
It's
good
usually,
chance.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a religious thing.
it's, yeah.
Oh, there we go again.
Do you know, Mr. Ivanov?
I'm guessing it's some dark, twisted, gory.
Pagan.
No, it's probably biblical,
That means pagan.
horrible
Yeah.
story with somebody being quartered or torn to pieces.
Oh yeah, and they had to eat the live heart. That's the
and
heart
his name
on your
is definitely
Valentine's
Saint Valentine's, and he got murdered for something, and then we turned it into this wonderful, loving, festive, expressing love and adulation.
But that's what we do. I mean, that's kind of the point of religion. You like when you go in and invade the country, you take their holidays, you make them your own, so that they will love you. Like
Is
that's
that
how we
what
got
happens?
Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
I mean, that's literally like how we got
have- I
Christmas.
feel like a rat got
We don't have
screwed.
Saint
Yeah.
Valentine. We don't celebrate Saint Valentine's in Bulgaria,
Lucky.
but we celebrate on the same day. We made up this another
St. Louis.
fun religious. No, we made fun religious holiday. Just another justification for drinking. Here in the States, we create holidays to justify spending. In Bulgaria, it's all about drinking. So we have
I miss that
Trifon.
country.
Sounds much
Saint,
better. Yeah.
Saint Trifon Zarazan is the name of that. Saint Trifon.
Three phone.
Trifon.
Three phone.
And Saint Trifon is apparently some ancient I think it has to do with wines and vineyards, and Bulgarians on this day just get hammered more than Thor's opponent, whoever that is. It just everybody gets just hammered like crazy, and everybody gets drunk. Drinks a lot of wine, and that's our Saint Valentine's. But you're right, Jeremy. It seems like we always find excuses to come up with holidays to spend money, and it's always about spending and consuming more stuff. And the meaning of the religious meaning is lost inevitably.
But I think where I was going with this subject was days. Veterans Day. Or
not like Deo.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Was the singer of that song male or female?
Male.
Do you want to try that again?
4th of July.
He's male. So, Harry Belafonte, I'm pretty sure he's a male.
It's a guy.
The original thing is that Christmas Day, President's Day, Thanksgiving Day, think of all your other days, throughout the year. What do we do?
National Margarita Day was last week.
Yeah, right.
Shit,
What we do is, if it's hot, we get on a boat and go out in the middle of the lake and get smashed. If it's not hot, we sit down and watch the telly, probably football, and get smashed. If it's the Super Bowl, national holiday, we watch the telly, get smashed. Now they're talking about getting a national holiday on the Monday after the Super Bowl. Because so many people don't go to work.
I go for that.
They
That
might
makes
as well
sense.
go for
That's
for
the
a
only
national
holiday that makes sense.
I had 9 call-ins on the Monday after.
That's bullshit. Then they need to do it the day after New Year's Eve. Like
Most
for real,
places
like,
do.
I don't know about most places. I get what you're saying, but I really think that it should be.
So right before the show.
And the other thing, I just wanted, because Nate's fucking with me. I mean, this is his first and
is
he's
he
fucking
winking
with me.
at you? Is he giving you that special
He's
come
fucking
hither
with me.
wink? Because he'll do that.
Bastard.
true.
Coming
It's
here
true.
and having a go at the Brits. Just so you know, I will tell you, because not a lot of people know this, the reason for Valentine's Day was because Valentine was a very famous cricketer, and they had a day
This is already
where,
bullshit. I just need to let you
where
know.
they
Really?
Yeah.
where they created a day named after him, Valentine's. So it's a cricket day.
And his first name just happened to be
God.
Saint.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tell us about cricket.
I would rather watch 8 hours of Mitch McConnell French kissing a lizard than watch 10 minutes of cricket. I would rather watch buck naked Chris Christie jumping
you-
rope
Yeah, well,
ocean than watch 10 minutes of cricket.
all right.
I don't need
Actually,
to talk.
that might be
I
really.
would rather watch Ben Stein reading War and Peace in Esperanto for 7 hours.
You see,
Then
Nate,
watch
I told
10
you,
hours,
I told
10
you, don't
minutes
fuck
of
with me,
cricket.
otherwise he's off.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. That is
But look,
perfect.
guys, he's serious now, as genuine as they say where I come from.
Oh my God.
I understand that Valentine's cards are traditionally supposed to be unsigned. I got one once when I was a teenager. I wasn't dating anyone,
What
and I
was
was
his
very,
name?
I was very frustrated to think that there was someone
It was
out there
anonymous.
who I had no way of contacting. So over the years, what have been your experiences with Valentine's cards? And I see Jane is shaking her head saying, don't ask me. So Jane, your experience with Valentine's cards, starting when you were 14.
Actually, it started way before that.
Oh,
it's a
naughty thing.
Tradition it's a tradition in elementary school for
Yeah.
all the kids to buy Valentines for not just their lovey interests, but their friends as well. And we would have these days where we would get our Star Wars Valentine's cards, and we would pick out the best ones, like Han Solo and Princess Leia and Luke. They were all for the people you liked the most. And then you would get the crappy cards that nobody liked,
Your Valentine's
like
Days
Salacious
had
Crumb, and you'd give
threesomes
it
on
to the
them.
stupid kid that you didn't like. And it was all a popular. Valentine's Day was based on a popularity thing, and so it has totally, it is totally. I would say probably since, you start realizing what's really going on around the 4th or 5th grade, and you're like, screw this, I hate Valentine's Day. But the older I get, the more I realize it is absolutely, unequivocally the worst holiday ever. It is nothing more than a bullying holiday.
We turn love
It
into
is.
hate.
It is a bully holiday. I know because I work in a flower shop, and these guys, and it's usually men, of course, they come in and they say, "What's the cheapest thing you got? If I don't bring something home, my wife's gonna be pissed." How pathetic is
People
that?
actually say that?
Yes.
Really?
Every year, at least 10.
Conroy,
at
you
least
bastard.
10.
Bully Holiday is a
Conroy.
great name for a rom-com.
What'd you buy your wife for Valentine's Day
Yeah,
this
what'd
year?
you buy your wife for Valentine's Day, Conroy?
A flower.
A flower.
Yes, but she doesn't like for me to buy
Are you
the
homeless now?
No, she loves it. She gets mad if I buy a big bouquet of flowers because they're so expensive.
Yeah.
But no,
So she says.
So, have you ever had a real Valentine's card? That is to say, from someone you have no idea where it came from.
no, not really. No, but I've never. It was always kind of fun to see which girl would give you a card.
It's different when you're a girl, though. Girls are the bullies.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to stuff like this.
Oh.
I'm serious.
that's
All the
just
girls would
natural life, though.
strategically place cards to give to the crappy kids and to the popular girls, but I can see why boys wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing until you just brought it up.
I know. Are we being a little sensitive nowadays, though? I mean, are we trying to find that people are offended?
We're
when
living
they
in
really
Trump's
hurt?
America.
I mean, there were some girls that didn't. I expected a card from a girl and didn't get one, and it hurt. But it's just what life is. Oh no.
Yeah.
Bully Holiday
He's gonna go
starring.
cry
So,
now.
Nate,
He's gonna
did
go
you
cry.
ever get a card and you got no idea where it came from?
No, no. I had a similar experience where every kid would bring duplicates of the exact same card to give to every other kid. So
Yeah,
in
that's
grade
good.
school, it just turned out to be, participation Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So
Dr. Orlando.
He's
what
raising
about-
his
So
hand.
I
Isn't that
have-
cute?
I have the exact opposite story. I didn't go to kindergarten, so there was lots of stuff about school that I just wasn't aware of. Lots of traditions, lots of protocols and things that I didn't know about. So my first grade teacher said to me, make sure you go out and buy Valentine. So I go out, I tell my dad this, and my dad, who is as clueless as I am, we go out and buy one card for my first grade year. So, saving grace, maybe, or maybe my teacher thought I was creepy. I had one card. She said, go ahead and distribute your cards. I brought it up to my teacher's desk, and that was it.
smart call.
Yeah.
Yeah, we.
Yeah, that's
Kathleen.
good. Did I ever get a Valentine card that I didn't know who it was from?
Yeah.
No.
Did you ever get a Valentine's card that you
I don't
knew it
remember.
was
I was reading. Yeah, the standard.
That answer
everybody.
was way too quick. You have a suitcase full of Valentine's cards
No.
that you just kind of thumb through every other
from?
year.
A big
just to-
brown envelope.
Exactly.
No,
yeah.
I was not a
The accordion.
popular kid, but I wasn't a bullied kid either. I was, middle, and I really wasn't interested. So, yeah.
Yeah, we obviously didn't have that pagan, ridiculous tradition. And, if I would have brought like a card to school, the girl would just say, "Are you an idiot? Go buy condoms. You're 13 years old, for God's sakes."
Grade schools are so much different in Bulgaria.
Bully Holiday. I keep thinking about Bully Holiday. How good of a rom-com that would be, with, starring Matthew McConaughey
And
He's
Jack
a-
Black. Jack Black has to be in it.
Well, Matthew McConaughey is definitely the protagonist. He is down on he is a brilliant software developer.
Matthew McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey plays a very uncharacteristic software developer with brilliant ideas. He's a savant. He's a savant.
Okay, I
He's
can get
developed a
behind
platform.
This is your new.
Yeah.
This is the rom-com.
Right.
It's called Bully Holiday, but he decides to share his success with his best friend from high school, played by Michael Shannon. They're best friends, and he's like, I'm going to share my success with him. And Michael Shannon jumps right in. They split everything 50-50. They say, we're going to split the profits of this brilliant platform, social media platform, 50-50. And Michael Shannon goes, you know what? It's Valentine's Day. And would you please, I'm giving this card to my sister. She really has a crush on you since she was young. Please just sign a card for her. And he signs the card. What he doesn't know is under
It's
the
Janine
card.
Garofalo.
Well, yes, Janine Girafalo. So underneath the card, he has put a contract that signs everything off to him. So he signs the card not knowing that he signs away his brilliant company. So now Michael Shannon runs away with the company on Valentine's Day. And Matthew McConaughey is devastated. He's penniless. Michael Shannon is a billionaire now. And from that moment on, he starts bullying him. He kicks him out of the company. He has no place to go. And McConaughey calls this day, for the rest of his life, the bully holiday, St. Valentine's Day. But at a coffee shop, when he's down on his luck, he meets this just fantastic, beautiful barista.
Jack Black.
No, let's go with not go with the homoerotic angle. Let's go with somebody like Renee Zellweger. Pre-plastic surgery.
Okay, I was going to ask to
pre-plastic
clarify.
surgery when you can still tell who she is. They fall in love, and she brings him down from. He was on the brink of suicide. But she brings him back with her fantastic coffee and incredible sex appeal and technique in bed. She brings him back to life. But she also develops a brilliant new drink, new coffee. Because of him, she decides to call this coffee the Bully Holiday Brew. That coffee takes off. They become so rich. They become incredibly rich.
I can't take it anymore.
They become incredibly rich.
We're all being very polite.
Meanwhile, Michael Shannon's shenanigans bring down the social platform.
Shenanigans.
Bring down the social platform. Yeah, shenanigans. Bring down the social platform down. The business is the shits. And Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, now being so rich, they purchased the company from him. And hence, we have a blockbuster, happy end. Bully holiday.
Oh, at least it's the end.
Yes.
And so, ladies and gentlemen,
Direct
I want
to
to thank
Netflix.
you very much for paying attention. Why, I don't know, but anyway, you did. Want to thank the team. We'll come to that in a moment. I understand the sponsors tonight, Toblerone, among others.
Toblerone is too successful, unfortunately, to sponsor our show. They actually have money. Tonight we are sponsored by a very, very special sponsor. It's the number one selling Motorola Bravo pager. Number one in 1989, 140 hertz, featuring backlit quarter of an inch screen that displays revolutionary 10 digits.
Ooh.
Now, the way the sponsorship works, every time you have to purchase a pager from Motorola, Pager Bravo. Every time you receive a page from Motorola, you have about 2 minutes to find the closest paid phone on the street and dial that number, and $10 will be transferred to our account.
So I'd like to thank the team for coming in today, particularly Nate, who for some reason decided it would be fun to take the piss out of the Brits. Jane, Kath, the Evo, Dr. Orlando, and myself, Jeremy Taylor. Again, thank you for listening. Want to thank our producers and engineer now Neil Rasmussen, who's been climbing around underneath the tables for some reason. I don't know quite why.
Thank
Eric,
you, Neil.
the producer. Eric, the producer, said that it's something to do with women being there, but I don't know that it's true. And of course, Eric, the producer. So again, Wednesday night undressed. Thank you very much. Yay.